that seems to be us for the moment. I know we're waiting on a couple and people might just drop in and out, but it might be nice to go around and do a little hello. Introduce.
Absolutely.
Sue, do you want to? I know everybody probably knows you, but I know you didn't say hello last time, so we'll give the floor to you first.
Oh, hello, I'm Sue. It's lovely to see you all. It really is. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, there we go.
Do you want to see everyone at once or just one at a time?
Hey, there we go. Right. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm Maya, and I'm working with Sue, and I'm from North Berwick, and living in London currently, but doing all of this from my computer, which is the benefits of remote working at the moment. But sad that we can't all be together in person, obviously. And that's me. So next on my screen is Jackie, and we'll just go around and say a little hello.
Hi, I'm Jackie Bell. I'm one of the co-chairs of the North Berwick, of the Dunbar Linton Local Area Partnership Health and Wellbeing Group, on the Community Council, the Day Centre, various other hats, just thinking that if people wonder what the strange door is behind me, it was yesterday. I went to get a new printer cartridge and the door came off its hinges, but it's too high for me to put back. Husband's away, and I'm just wondering whether or not my neighbour is allowed to come in and help put it back on its hinges before it lands on me or the cat. So that's apologising for that, but
it looks well propped up for the moment.
At the moment, I'm one of the co-coordinators for the rerun of COVID response in Dunbar and West Barnes.
Perfect, thank you. Claire?
Morning, everybody. I'm Claire. I live in North Berwick and moved here quite recently, just maybe about 18 months ago. Joined the COVID emergency team, so have the pleasure of working already with Fiona, Sue and Maya, and still working with Sue on DFEL, and we are about to get a singing project up and running for this year. So I want to pick everybody's brains about anything singing music related, please.
There was a sing-along every week at the Day Centre in Dunbar.
Yeah.
Run by Diane and Douglas Kerr. Lots of people went along, but it was linked to Dementia Friendly Dunbar, I think, but it was Diane and Douglas did it.
We can have a proper chat about that, and kind of see what else is going on.
Really helpful, thank you.
Brilliant. Parveen?
Morning, everybody. I'm Parveen. I'm the Ageing Well Coordinator for East Lothian. So my remit is kind of focusing on physical activity for older adults across the county. So nice to see you all.
Nice to see you. And Fiona?
Morning, everyone. I'm working with Sue and Golf and Society on a kind of potentially getting a golf project up and running. I met Sue and Maya and Claire on the Resilience project last year, so I'm just following on from that.
Is Maya frozen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go around. Nikki, welcome.
Hi, so I'm Nikki. I recently joined the Community Council for North Berwick. I live in North Berwick. Currently work as a nurse practitioner. Really like working with older adults, and got put in touch with Sue a couple of days ago, so that's why I'm here.
Sorry, I'm back. My internet is a bit dodgy at the moment, so if I drop in and out, that's why.
Don't worry, I'll just leap in.
Okay, thank you. So, Adele, did you get a chance to introduce yourself?
Jill.
Oh, sorry, Jill. Yes, go ahead.
Right. I'm Jill Wilson. I live in Dunbar. I'm the other the other co-chairperson of the Health and Social Care Committee in Dunbar and East Linton. I'm chair of the Day Centre Committee, and I'm on the local area partnership and the community council.
Brilliant, thank you. And Adele?
Hi everyone, Adele's my name, and a few different hats. I'm currently working with Generations Working Together. I'm also just finished a 3-year research project which was exploring community in care homes. Also do some work around human rights in care homes. Don't live anywhere near East Lothian over in Glasgow, but I did discover Dunbar for the first time in September, and I absolutely love it. So yeah.
Thank you. I've got Hilary next.
Oh, hi. Hi, I'm Hilary Smith. I am a co-chair of the North Berwick Health and Wellbeing Association, North Berwick Coastal Health and Wellbeing Association. And I'm also the current chair of the Coastal Area Partnership. And I've actually just sent you an email, Nikki. So
yeah, I thought that was you.
I know it's funny, isn't it? These nice little synergies when you just kind of keep coming, with people. All of a sudden you can put a face to a name and everything. So yeah, I'm delighted to be here. I'm sorry I missed the first meeting, and I really, want to be an active part of this group.
Brilliant. No, people can kind of drop in and out and come to whatever meeting. I know that we're going to discuss it kind of later, but I know that obviously having a fixed time might not be ideal, so we're going to look at times and days as well. Roseanne?
I'm here to Friendly Trinaine, and also Sue and I have, sort of thing for Playlist for Life, but we've not really started it yet, but yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
Short and
nice
brief.
to meet you. And Olive?
Hello, I am Olive. I'm from Haddington. I'm involved with Haddington Peer Support Group for Mental Health. I'm also secretary of HETRA. And this is my first time on today.
Nice to see you. And sorry, is it Wilma?
Yeah, it's Wilma. Coming up as Caroline, but it's Wilma. Hi, I'm Wilma. I'm from East Lothian Library Service. We are very keen to be involved with community groups, promoting community groups, have groups in the library. I think some of our libraries do have dementia-friendly groups running at the moment, but we'd love to be involved with more. Originally, I'm from Prestonpans branch, but I'm in Musselburgh at the moment due to all the circumstances going on. But I'm very keen to promote any of your groups through the library service and anything we can do to be involved.
Brilliant, thank you. And Tracy, last but not least, I've got you on my screen. You're muted, and I'll just ask to unmute. Tracy, can you hear us? Maybe she doesn't want to be heard.
Tracy said she was nipping in and out. She's at the pantry, so if somebody comes in, so it could be she's nipped out and she'll nip back.
Okay, perfect. No worries. Well, then that's asking other folk coming in. But yeah, Tracy can say a quick hello when she's back. So we're kind of, because I know there's less of us, for those who were at the last meeting, and for those who weren't, there was probably about just under 40 people that came. So we kind of just opened the conversation and went into groups, sort of breakout rooms. But I know there's kind of less of us this time, so we kind of wanted to just open the conversation to whatever topics people wanted to speak about. I can go over some of the things that came out of the last conversation, and and then we can go from there, but obviously it doesn't have to specifically lead from anything. It can be a whole new conversation if you want. Let me just share my screen and you can get a bit of an update.
If people have got things you want us to put onto list or talk about, have you put them into the chat?
Yeah,
that's a really good way of us getting an idea if there's any sort of burning questions and or issues that you want to bring up.
So from the last conversation, a lot of the stuff that came out that we kind of put together, but this is all to be kind of added to, as Sue says. So local-based, place-based conversations was something that I think we're going to be looking at, because just to see what's happening in each place and to see what kind of support and links can be made. Infrastructure, how we can get together to share and learn. Obviously, it can't really happen in the real world, but there are people that are speaking in different groups. But for us as the Celebrating Communities project, where I think we're going to be trying to get an online infrastructure somewhere that we can kind of come together and you can everybody can speak to each other and share and learn. Inclusion, so obviously a big focus is getting people with dementia and carers connected and involved, and how the best way of doing that is. A big thing that's come out of a lot of conversation, and I know it's kind of an ongoing theme, but finding out how things work within communities and what everybody's doing and how that all connects. Focused on different residential settings such as care homes and communal housing. And then what we would like to look at as well, if people are interested, is integrating training and development. So dementia awareness and kind of trying to get intergenerational learning in there as well. So yeah, like Sue says, if there's anything else to add, pop in the chat and we'll just update these slides as we go. In terms of ideas, kind of project ideas and otherwise, these are some of the things that came out of the last conversation. So there's obviously quite a lot there already from just one chat. So very positive and exciting, and again to be added to and expanded on. So I know that there's already some things happening. I'll just stop my sharing. I've sent these slides on and we'll also share them as well so people can have a copy. But if anybody has any projects or anything that they're currently doing at the moment that they want to share, then please feel free. I don't know if you just want to kind of stick your hand up if you do, or pop it in the chat. I know Claire, you're working on something. I'm not sure about anybody else, so it'd be great to hear. Oh, you're on mute. Let me just unmute.
The project that we're working on was something that Sue and I started talking about after the COVID team in the lockdown, and it was in relation to singing, because singing's well, it's well documented how cathartic it is for people with dementia, but also actually it's a great release for everybody. So we put together a proposal, and this is going to be monthly performances, I will call them, by local people, for local people, potentially recorded at local areas, local landmarks. So it falls into Maya's sort of bringing the real world to people, since they can't get out into the real world. We're going to have a list of performers. We've already got some churches in principle. This is just in principle, people. We've not actually got, we're only now going to put a schedule together, but we're looking at churches, schools, the Cubs of the Scouts, we're going to pick up on street links to see if people are interested in a street performing, which is this legacy from the COVID team, because Street Links was a very strong project, to see who was to come. We want it to be intergenerational, so I want it to be, you know, how many generations there can be in any family, not just two, but the children and parents and grandparents. And then as we'll have to obviously do this adhering to lockdown rules and legislation, so it will be online. They will be provided, it will go onto the DFEL YouTube channel, we'll be provided with song sheets to sing along, there'll be personalised messages. We'll hope to include sort of high tea response to make it an event rather than just a singing exercise. And then as we ease, we're hoping to make it much more live by the time August comes, and we'll try to do something slightly more in the community for the festival in August. So we've got a few days there where we'd like to do something like, you know, North Berwick Coastal's Got Talent or something, but just to get people onto a live stage. And then we'll move it around and we'll try to do something, a showcase at Christmas. Those ideas are all still being developed. It feels like a long way away. But the thing that we wanted to do was, it's not about singing skills. So I deliberately didn't call it a choir in any way. And some of the performers will need more if they're confident in singing by themselves. But what I wanted to do is actually just let people sing. You know, if you're game, go for it. And if you sing in a crowd or whatever, but it's just to be collective. So I suppose it's the top down and the bottom up, because the top down will be people will get the pleasure of, I suppose, watching other people sing and the intergenerational aspects, but we will want people in the community to actually become involved, because that gives involvement from the bottom up as well. Did I encapsulate all of that, Sue?
Yeah, it was great. For those of you, hang on, I've just now got a screen full of chat. Singing, there was a singing group led by one of the carers in Haddington, and the school bought us a piano, an organ for them to play, and we used to play at the Maitland Field, and Anne arranged it every week, but never felt comfortable coming on to Zoom. And so there have been groups. There's a great one at Musselburgh, the I can't remember its name now, run by Penny Stone, that a lot of people really enjoyed. And then there's the work that Diane and colleagues, we know Diane and various singing groups in Dunbar, never managed to get it working in North Berwick, but hey ho. And so it has been something that we're wanting to do for a while, but inclusive, you know, having a mix of choices. So I think that was great.
Yep.
Hillary, you've got some stuff in the chat there. Do you want to chip in? Wherever you are.
Yeah, sorry. I honestly, I'm trying to tap on my tablet, and it's forgive the typos. Fat fingers, too small a keyboards, can't manage it. Yeah, it was the Fringe by the Sea. Obviously, are trying to do a number of different things, and Jackie Shuttleworth has been pretty good at getting in touch with people. So if you've not spoken to her, that would be definitely a contact there. But also, I was just thinking, when you were talking about, you know, the street groups and things, there was a few groups who did do music instead of the clap for carers, or as well as the clap for carers, and it carried on for really quite a long time. And some of these might want to be involved, not just on a like, you know, even recording something and then putting it on. One particularly comes to mind. There was along the road from me here, and it involves a professional musician who's very good at recording things. And so I'll put you in touch with them if you like, Claire, because if nothing else, it's another contact for you.
What I'm doing now is we're moving towards getting funding. So what I'm actually doing now is exactly that, Hilary. I'm amassing intelligence, and it's from people like you who have got all that knowledge, and I'm only here 18 months. So all those contacts are brilliant. And I haven't made contact with Jackie Shuttleworth, but I will. And it's exactly that. I don't always want it to be specific groups. I quite like the mix of streets doing it, you know, because that then, I suppose, builds that cohesion again in the streets, you know, people turning out their kids. So that is exactly the kind of thing we're looking for.
Okay,
brilliant.
Brilliant. And I know Jackie's put a few things in there in the chat as well. We'll share the chat after as well. Is there anything else that anybody wants to chat about, to share, any of the groups?
Can I mention a couple of things, Maya, because it just came up from the slides that you were showing.
Yeah, sure. And Jackie, I know you had your hand up, so I'll come to you next.
Oh, sorry. No, carry
no,
on.
No,
then.
Hilary, go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
So the Health and Wellbeing Association, one of their projects this year is the Compassionate Communities one, and there's a whole series of events that are running on that, which people can sign up for. I have personally, I've not been involved in it. It's been the other co-chair that's been driving that one forward. So I can only give you a very brief overview, but it's everything from music to what they lovingly call armchair chats, which I just think is just such a nice, it just conjures up a really nice picture of being able to sit and listen to what someone is talking about, and you know, in a nice kind of relaxed and positive way. And I'll share with this group then the links to the programme for that they put together, because that might be something that they might want to disseminate with their own within their own networks. And the other thing that just occurred to me from your slide was about communications, and again the Health and Wellbeing Association is doing a piece of work at the moment exactly about that, about communications between different groups and how we can do it better, you know, and not in a much more, you know, outcome focused way, you know, where we're all trying to work in the same direction. So that really just wanted to drop both of these into the conversation.
Brilliant, thank you. Sorry, Tracy, you've come back, but we've not heard from you. Do you want to say a little hello?
Hi, sorry about that. I was away tending to someone in the community pantry. So I'm Tracy from Volunteer Centre East Lothian. I'm the locality officer and cover the whole of East Lothian, but I live in Tranent.
Perfect.
So that's me.
Thank you. And Jackie, I know you had your hand up briefly there.
Yeah, it's one of the things about you know, inclusion in things like singing that Dunbar and District does have the very formal choral society that does you know, formal oratorio and things where you are expected to be able to sing. There is also the Dunbar Lyric that does performances, and Dunbar Sings, and that Dunbar Sings anybody could go along to. You know, it's about wanting to make music rather than being technically accurate. However, you know, with COVID, all these things seem to have gone into the fridge a bit. It's also how some of these groups go into things like the day centre when it's operating, or the care homes. As the Lyric, we did used to go and sing and go and entertain, say at Lammermuir House. Again, that, you know, another entertainers going in, but again, it's something else that has become more difficult in COVID. And one of the major issues for any performance of having big groups coming together is that Dunbar has lost its performance spaces. That when the school went over to be PFI, that a 1 week to hire for a show for the Dunbar Lyric about 6 years ago was £2,000. And, you know, it's just become, you know, a difficulty of places to actually perform. We've done church halls and things, but they've got busy. And, you know, so.
Yeah, it's definitely hard with everything being online now, and that having to try and find a way around that, especially with the singing side of things.
Yeah, because choirs, that some people have been having choirs online.
Yeah.
But if you're not a strong singer and you haven't got access to a musical instrument like a piano in the house, it's not very easy doing it online.
There's two things there. I think the digital stuff, there's the intergenerational is one of these, what we used to call cross-cutting themes that just has to be embedded, but the digital inclusion stuff. So even when we were talking about the golf project the other day, one of the first things that one of the folks in that discussion said was, we need a digital dimension here. And there are zillions of tablets around. So that's something we really need to get our head around, is the digital stuff. There's some really good research actually showing that singing digitally is better than not singing at all. So I think it's kind of working with that, and the blending bit is really important. So I think there's various ways of working with what we have. A lot of the folks that we've worked with are no longer living in the community, they're in care homes, or are going to be shielding probably forever because they're so scared of it. So it's something we have to look at, I think.
Yeah, that some people have, say Dunbar Music School, the youngsters that they did, they have done some online performances, where they managed to do things together. Belhaven Church did a sing-along. They tried everybody doing the Zoom parts separately, and then in the end they had to just do one big Zoom call. But things like where something like Dunbar Sings, can be intergenerational, and that also could involve people with learning disabilities or whatever, if you're learning it as you hear it rather than having to follow music.
Yeah. Claire, I know you had your hand up.
I was just going to say, I've been now at a few Luminate dementia-friendly singing gatherings, and I mean, there's organisations there that did a lot, and obviously had to flip from face-to-face to online. And this was at the start of the discussions when Sue and I were talking about November time of last year. And even the people with a lot of infrastructure and a lot of support moved away from Zoom choirs, because actually they found it quite difficult to pull off just because of the technology demands on different people. And even Luminate with their singing programme, they have actually just gone to CD. So when I started, I suppose what idea I thought I might have at the beginning was quickly sort of turned on its head to something else, but not to be thwarted or dampened by that. We just do it differently, and that will come in time. But I think while it seems that Zoom gives people interaction, even the bigger players that have, technical support have moved away from it at the moment. So that's why we changed and decided to go on the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Jill, sorry, I've realised that obviously I wouldn't be able to see if you've got your hand up or if you want to speak, so just do shout if you do want to.
Will do.
I was just going to mention we actually have a bit of an online concert coming up. So it's Bruce Davies. I don't know if anybody has heard of him, but he's a Scottish singer, and it's a bit of a belated kind of Burns Scottish celebration. So I know I've sent the information out to a couple of people, but we did want to do that as a real life concert, and obviously it's just not able to happen. So it's going to be online on Zoom and streamed on our Facebook. But for things like that in the future, we'd quite like to, try and integrate a bit more of the real world, because I know it's quite hard for people to just really engage sometimes with if it's just kind of somebody singing on a screen. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody has any experience or any ideas about sort of online concerts and blending with real world. We do have one of the care homes linked up to the Beacon Bakers in North Berwick, and they're kindly going to bake and deliver some baked goods so that people from the care home can enjoy those while they're watching the concert. So that's one kind of avenue, but does anybody have any sort of ideas about anything else that could be kind of accompanied an online concert? Yeah, Wilma, I'll give you the floor and I'll come to you, Claire.
It's not really about an online concert. It's more to do with, it's just an idea that we used to do in Preston Pans with my group. One of the local guys used to bring in past photographs, and these were amazing. They really got them talking, and I would really like to be able to share this on a platform, because we had a massive event planned for VE Day last year, We were going to have a piper from the school pipe them in. It was like a sort of tea dance, but a timeline of the war and the D-Day and all the activities. And it was based about East Lothian, all the things that happened. So we've got masses of photos that were given to us by one of our local guys, and we've not been able to share them. And it's, how can we get this out there to let people know? We can use the library Facebook page and do, but not everybody is on the Facebook page. So it's how we can get people talking about the past photographs, because it really brings them alive when they do see them. And I'd also spoken with Tracy regarding the REM pods. I don't know if any of you guys know about them and how we could get them into the libraries at the time. And it's just how we can share all this online, and how do we reach out to people that are not on a social media platform.
I think that is one of the things we really need to focus on. So we want to get a huddle together. We want to get a huddle of people who want to do stuff, and then people who know how to do stuff. Mm-hmm. So if folks are up for it, we can just either do it as part of one of these or organise a separate meeting. But yeah, so we'll just put a call out for that. Thanks.
Because that's certainly, Sue, one of the things with day centres that, you know, with the buildings being closed, more outreach work, and that the Sustaining Dumbarton managed to get some digital equipment, well, money for digital equipment for some of the day centre users, because one of the things with them not being able to go into the building and the staff going to see people in individual houses is that the service users aren't able to come together as a group to do something like have a sing-along or see an entertainer. So it will be how you can manage that sort of digital thing so that the people who would normally meet at the day centre can actually see their friends.
Yeah, and that was something in the resilience stuff that we actually did, not being able to get into people's rooms. And we know the other resilience teams have been working on it. So we want to build on that. So we'll start that off. Sorry, Claire.
No, it's fine. This is a random idea taken from Kenneth Branagh, the actor. So when Kenneth Branagh did a series of live performances, he streamed them to other art centres. And what was quite strange was, so when you sat down, you actually were live streamed to the theatre in London where he was performing, and you watched all the people gathering in their seats. It was something very strange because it actually made you feel more that you were part of the live performance. So you saw that, and you heard them rustling and chatting and, you know, all of that. And then when the performance started, they zoomed in on the screen. So I was only going to say, Maya, maybe part of it is the live link goes before that, because then it doesn't feel like an absolute recorded piece of music. You actually see them tuning up and gathering together. That's okay to do that, because that's what you would see in real life. And I just thought it was actually quite interesting, and it did make you feel more like you were part of the live performance.
Have you spoken yet to Dawn at the Festival Theatre?
No, Sue, I'm due to speak to her on Tuesday.
Yeah, those of you here last time, Dawn at the Festival Theatre has been running tea dances online and all the rest of it. So, and they've got equipment. And using DVDs and blending worlds. So she's definitely someone we need to get into this cluster, I think, or chat. Hello, Sam. Caught him.
Hello.
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 Hi.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Good. Do you want to say hello and who you are, and we can?
Yes. Hello, my name's Sam Scott. I'm the Health Development Officer for Dementia with Edinburgh Leisure. I run the Movement for Memories project within Edinburgh Leisure, which again just looks at promoting physical activity among people with dementia around Edinburgh. Another part of my project is obviously looking at making sure Edinburgh Leisure is accessible, inclusive for people with dementia. So I look at things like our venue, inclusive our structures of our venues, looking at what signage within our venues, and just a range of different things. Our organisation as inclusive as possible as well.
Brilliant, thank you.
Could I speak, please?
Of course, go ahead, Jill.
Dunbar does have a history society, and from the point of view of looking at historic photographs and what have you, they have an absolutely marvellous library of them. So maybe we could contact them when we need things like that for people to be talking.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and the John Gray Centre also has stuff. And there's the Coastal Community Museum in North Berwick.
Yeah. There's a lot of great links. I think it's just, yeah, we need to think about how to kind of connect everything, I guess. I know that there's a few folk. Adele, sorry, you've got your hand up.
So it's just to follow up what you were asking there about, like the live event, and just to say that project I was involved in, Connections, has a YouTube channel which is creative content for care homes, and on that YouTube channel there's a musician who's given some almost like demonstrations how to use percussion, so with tambourine or with shakers, to Scottish songs. There's so in terms of how people there could be a build up maybe before the actual live event. And there's also on the YouTube channel, there's also step dancing, other movement. So there's a range maybe of videos there that could be kind of a precursor to the live event. I'll
Brilliant.
put the link in.
Thank you. I'll have a look at that. Thank you. I mean, unless there's, I was going to say, I know there's a few folk on the call that have background in kind of physical activity. I don't know if there's any conversations that people want to have, or if there's anything else. Please do say.
Can I just say something about the physical activity? It's just a theme that's been there, and we've had the golf discussion this week. Hilary, the whole thing about paths came up yesterday. Nikki, one of the things that came up with the Community Council in North Berwick, and I'm sure has come up elsewhere, was people wanting to get out and walk safely. And that was partly to do with benches, but also to do with paths for all. Parveen, you've been working with them with your walking groups, but also people have been talking about creating walks and adding all sorts of history. I mean, there's some fantastic walks around, and looking innovatively at how people can support people to get out. So Sam, I know you do buddying and all that stuff. So it was just to say there is a lot of energy around that and a lot of interest, plus the Yoga Moments stuff as well. How could I forget that? Which is now launched. So there's all of that kind of stuff around, and it would be great just to look at how we can build on what we've got, or whether it's publicising it or filling gaps or things like that. But the walks, I mean, Hilary was at the meeting, or maybe you weren't anyway, but Bill McNair, who is one of our community councillors, Nikki, you'll know him, was saying that when he goes around the lodge, he needs a seat. People need it, and then often young parents and children need a seat. You know, we don't need benches looking out at the sea. We need them as part of our getting around and moving around. And that fits so well with the area of partnerships as well. So Hilary, one of the questions for me is how we engage effectively locally, and maybe a paths project is a way to do something very concrete. As well. So it's just one of these ones that there's so much win-win.
Yeah, there is a, I mean, there is a, it's the usual story. So there's a lot of willingness for things to happen, but no one to drive it forward. So there's a, the On the Move group, and this comes up at the On the Move group, it comes up at the Health and Wellbeing, and it comes up, you know, every group it comes up. But it's a bit of a hot potato, and so there's always a reason why it won't go ahead, you know. Well, we can't put benches here because whatever, or we can't do this because whatever, or we're waiting for this or we're waiting for that. And actually it just needs a little bit more of a concerted approach. I mean, I would be delighted if we got a plan for a proper path network in and around the coastal area, and one that was not just about cycling or just about walking, but actually just showed people what was there on their doorstep that they could access, you know, nice things, not just you know, a walk from A to B, but actually something that was just a walk for a walk's sake, and that you allowed everybody to use that, so that the benches were part of it. a bench is not just a place to sit down. It's a place for it allows other people to use a space. It's a place for people to meet. I mean, it's a symbol of something more than just a seat, you know. And I would like people to kind of get that. I feel like we talk about it a lot, but we're not able to take it any further. I need a champion on this, I think.
There was a wonderful email. Sorry, I only work 1 day a week now, Bart Furl, which I've not read fully. Created by Edinburgh's Green Health or something, and unfortunately, Edinburgh, but they've created a map of all the different great routes you do around Edinburgh, and I think they've graded them. I've not looked at it properly. It's one of my emails to look at, but they've graded it in sort of different levels. So how difficult the walk is, and I don't know. I think that would be a great idea for East Lothian, that they would have this public sort of map. It's not like a very difficult, it's very set up like your London tube stations map. So it's a map like that of all of Edinburgh, which gives you guidance of where good walks are to go as well. But, you know, I know even with myself starting walks, the difficulty of assessing the walk safe, you know, with benches, toilets, etc., is quite difficult. But, you know, in terms of a start, I think, you know, looking at the routes around East Lothian and thinking what they would be good to use would be a good start, certainly.
That's a great idea, and I'll definitely look that up and see if there's anything we can nick from that. But there is already a thing around for all of the different areas. We're supposed to put together a leaflet on the paths that they have, and it's kind of been done, but I feel it's like done as a bit piecemeal, really, and not something that is focused on what it could be. It's been very much a tick box. You know, we need a path leaflet, therefore here is a leaflet with some dotted lines on it, the map. It's not what you're saying there, whereas, you know, you're 5 minutes away from a coffee, or, you know, you're 10 minutes away from a toilet, or this path actually can get a bit muddy, or what, you know, the kind of things that actually do make a difference to how people get out and about. And, you know, that's the kind of, that's where I would be wanting, I think, something a little bit more.
Jackie, I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, just to say that there is the whole Core Paths network with Nick Morgan at ELC. Some of the problem that we've had is in lockdown, landowners getting fed up. One's put up a grate with a massive padlock and a big fence, and has become very abusive, to said Nick Morgan, the access officer. So there are maps around. That in Dunbar, I was just putting it in, that that Pippa from the Community Council created what was called a wandering map, which was places where you could, which is a map of places where you can eat, places where you can sit, you know, you can buy a sandwich, and places where you can sit to eat said sandwich, that sort of thing. But, you know, again, everything is funding. That there has just been a funding pot, but it closed yesterday, from Nature Scott, looking at green and blue spaces and, you know, the hotspots during COVID and how they might be developed, but that Osbert from Sustaining Dunbar has put in a claim to that. I'm talking of the Edinburgh Green Paths Network. My husband, with his Edinburgh University Open Space Research Centre hat, he's been having some links with City of Edinburgh Council about that, but he's not around at the moment to ask him more. I'd have to try and email him to find out more about where that project is going. But again, it's all these things about, you know, people might be willing. It's the funding at the end of the day to put these things into practice. And also for some of the paths, you know, the willingness of landowners, even if you've got a core path, to allow that. There's also the connectivity problems, all these new housing estates, but they've been developed in a mishmash. People move into them and then find that they can't get from A to B because there isn't that connectivity between, you know, the Persimmon, the Wimpy, the Walker Home or whatever, you know, that they don't thread together. And, you know, we've got some absolute disasters of Network Rail not allowing paths to be completed because the developer who was meant to build the path hasn't got the access rights under Network Rail's bridge, you know.
So it sounds like, I mean, the Community Council, I've copied Ralph, who's the chair of the Association of East Lothian Community Councils, and community councillors are already on lots of the groups, and there's lots of links there, but there's maybe something about putting in there things like local development plans, and those are people who are politically engaged and that kind of thing, getting this on the agenda as, you know, and the area partnerships presumably quite important in that too, Hilary, because that's taking it through into the community planning process, which I have to say, the councillors in Dunbar, as in the official councillors run the community councillors, turn up to the meetings, and Paul, whatever his name is, I can't remember his name, he's always really, you know, comes up with practical suggestions about which buttons to press and all the rest of it. So yeah, we could maybe pull together this and just do a bit, it's a chance to look at it holistically, I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that, Sue. It has to be something that has that covers more than just one thing.
Yeah.
And at the moment, sadly, we tend to focus on just one aspect, and it should be much more about actually what are we trying to achieve. You know, as I say, like a kind of outcome focused on this. You know, what are we hoping that this is going to do for us? And I would really want that attitude to go back through into all of the area partnerships, the members and the people that actually make the decisions there.
Yeah, because one of the things that came up at DELAP was about paths on Traprain, and we got into a whole big argument as to whether or not we should be funding paths, you know, that the Ranger Service was requesting money for the paths on Traprain law. And, you know, it was this discussion about should East Lothian Council be doing that, seeing as they're, you know, East Lothian employees, rather than coming to the area partnership.
Parvina, I know you had your hand up.
Yeah, no, it's just to kind of follow on what Sue just mentioned there in the chat. Obviously, you guys know that I work quite heavily with walking and aging well, and I think I'm definitely I'm willing to help you guys out with that, because I'm a true believer in it's such a great activity to offer. And I think you're right, Sue. Volunteers, definitely, that's something we need to gather. Obviously, I've got the contacts there at Paths for All, who I'm sure they'll be more delighted to be part of this conversation. I don't know if some of you have seen actually what Paths for All, the Ramblers and Living Streets have been doing recently. It's called Walk Back Better. So it's a manifesto for 2021. It's just quite interesting to kind of read I can send it over to you guys, but some of the things they want to kind of achieve, kind of going back to what you were saying, Hilary, as well, is they want to try and create like a 20-minute neighbourhood. So ensuring things are, you know, close by, you're not having to go for miles, you know, and creating that community. And it's basically all working together and bringing those ideas together and just making it more accessible and enjoyable for people. I believe there's a £50 million infrastructure going into place. So that's what they're using to kind of, you know, go forward. So yeah, I'm definitely keen to kind of support with that element of this. Definitely important.
Is that where Avril went, Parveen?
Yeah, she did, but she's not there. She's moved on to somewhere else.
Okay. Kate Pemberton at Stirling University did the research for Paths for All as well, and she's linked into this and suggested we make a link. So we'll see if we can bring Kate in, because she's got really good the research they did on setting up community-led walking groups that were also, you know, linking with local befriending and all the rest of it in a very community way rather than a service way. Really nice stuff. Really nice stuff.
Cool.
Good peer support.
Yeah.
We did have as well, kind of during the summer, we did try to put together, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the We Locals website. We tried to add a page to that was kind of We Locals Get Outdoors.
Want me to get it up?
Yeah, I can share my screen. So let me just get it up first. So yeah, it was more about places rather than paths, but places around East Lothian that people could go and have a walk and have a coffee, and there's kind of facilities there as well. Locals, just share my screen.
One of the big issues,
but it is quite it was, you know, it's quite a lot of administration to gather all of the information. So if we kind of put out a survey just to ask people to fill in if they wanted to be on the page. So places like Kenzie House and Gardens is there. We've got kind of opening hours, if it's paid or free admission, what facilities are available, Amersfield, Wall Garden, Maryhatton, Smeaton. So just where people can go and what's available at those places. And obviously this was kind of during lockdown as well, so it was to let people know whether places were open or not, to go and have a walk there. So that's also live and running, so that's kind of a resource that can be used if people think it might be helpful to add to that as well. I'll just stop my share, but that's We Locals Walking in East Lothian. I'll just put the link on the chat. Claire?
The day centre in Dunbar, some of the staff were taking people out on a one-to-one basis for short walks in order to relieve their carers, and it was very much enjoyed. And of course it's good from a preventive point of view, because if the carers are able to be more relaxed and have a bit of time for themselves, it will stop them breaking down as well.
Absolutely. Can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
Thank you. Claire, you've got your hand up. Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Sorry, I mute myself so that anyway. There's a huge agenda as well about digital with walking, because you know you can do walking apps, bring in historians, you can do places where there's too much information, so you have a QR code. You know, you can actually do that. It makes it more intergenerational, but actually there's lots that can be done locally as well that does for your digital project as well as your physical.
Yeah, that's really interesting just to have things on the way as well that just add nature.
I think it
and
becomes,
digital.
when before we moved, there was little walks and railway lines, and they had dug out bits of history you'd have never known, and then they were just on boards to read, and it just made it, instead of, I suppose, a walk from A to B, it just gave it slightly more meaning of what once was there, or you know. And there's lots along the hill, so it was all old mining villages. Huge amount of history that could be lost to different generations. It just gives it another dimension.
Roseanne, isn't there a load of really brilliant pathways around Tranent and the old railway line? Oh, and Tracy as well. There's some great stuff there, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure there was a leaflet done.
There was.
Yeah, and also up at Ormiston as well, you've got the railway line, and yeah.
Yeah.
I do know somebody was trying to pull it together to see, let everybody know what it was, but I can't remember who that was.
I think the area partnership had a role in it. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
Hillary, because you were one of the first to come out with it. And also Jill at Kenzie House, as part of the Salt of the Earth project, they were organising walks, weren't they? Going up. There was a short walk just up to from Kenzie House to the start of the power station, and then eventually going all the way up to Musselburgh. We did that walk actually during it's really great flat walk, lots of room, lots of cafes in normal times, and benches, quite a few benches.
Tracy?
There is a leaflet available for the Fosside area with walks on it that I can try and get a hold of from our Connected Communities manager. And it's maybe something that could be replicated in other areas.
Wilma? I'll just unmute you.
There we go. I know in the libraries we did have a lot of the leaflets regarding the different areas in East Lothian and the core walks.
Right.
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to give out leaflets because of the restrictions at the moment. So we do have them. But one thing I was wondering, and I don't know if Tracy may be able to help me with this, What about the Walk with Scott Foundation? They're bound to know lots of areas for walking, maybe get involved with volunteering, with buddying up with someone to walk with them. Is it worth approaching them?
I think that's a great idea. We've certainly had a lot of inquiries about one-to-one walks at the moment, and I'm sure Walk with Scott, to help with their training and things, would happily get involved. Leave that with me. I'll speak to Gareth.
Because I was going to speak, I would speak to Colin McGinn as well.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. We need to know what it is communities want and what their ideas are before we. So can we bring that discussion into that, Tracy?
Yeah.
Yeah, great idea, but at the moment, you know, we need to put people together to come up with ideas.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Will you join us? Will you join us in the discussion on that?
Yeah.
Great. Brilliant. And if you sound out, Scott, that would be lovely.
Jackie, you've got your hand up.
It's just something that I put up in the chat is that one of the big issues is, if you're going out for walks, is, I'll put it in the chat, public toilets. For example, if you go to Stenton, there's Napras Menham Wood, there's nice places to walk around Stenton, there is no public toilet unless the village hall is open for something. And there's other, John Muir Country Park, the toilet facilities are limited. It was a big issue during the big lockdown when all the toilets were closed because people were using the woods, but that it is one of the things. Husband wrote a book on design for outdoor recreation, and people won't believe me when chapter 4 is on toilets, but it is one of the things. So when you're having maps, knowing where there are clean toilets, that not all cafes will let you go and use their facility unless you also buy a coffee, but so that is an issue. That Delap the other day, we were looking at funding for a group which is actually a mental health peer support group based in Haddington, but it turned out that they were doing a group with some buddying and going for walks, and they'd actually set off one in Dunbar before COVID. So, that the paths can be for all sorts of disabilities, and that's where you're needing to improve services, making sure that, somebody in a wheelchair can get a longer path, that it doesn't descend into mud. Pepper Swan's been looking at an accessibility project at Belhaven Bay, feasibility study done, but again, you then get into the funding of who's actually going to pay to get any work done.
Thank you. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So I know that we're just over the hour. I'm not sure what everybody's schedules are like. I know everybody's busy, but this space is still open. I mean, if anybody has anything else you want to talk about, but if you do need to drop off, feel free.
Unless anybody wants to start any of those huddle on either the digital stuff or the physical stuff now, or whether we just want to let things settle and just let our, because I don't know about you, but I find my head gets all kind of up.
Yeah.
And sometimes good just
have a mull, Sue. There's some idea.
Pardon?
We can have a mull.
Yes, a mull.
And then come together again. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff we didn't cover. We haven't talked about Playlists for Life. Nikki, you're probably sitting there going, "Well," having only heard it like a couple of days ago.
I'm not used to Zoom meetings.
Oh, right.
I'm working, so if it's
And Dale, you do lots of great stuff in care homes and stuff like that. So, I mean, if people feel they've not said what they want to say, and Sam, you've come in. I love your elephants. Did you draw those? And a zebra? No.
Certainly not. No, they're my wife's. She never drew them. She definitely never drew them.
So if you want to, stuff you want to update people or tell people about or whatever, just do it. I mean, you'll just let it flow over.
I'd like to know what people's opinions are using the online, like, and you know, the usage they get from it and how they, I know we've probably have touched on it, but how they get over that issue of the people we're working with and their ability to use technology. You know, I think we're missing a lot of people who struggle to use technology, and at the moment, the option we can to deliver any activity. So I want to know what people's experiences are, have been using them, and how do they get over that hurdle.
I've certainly had a growth in numbers of older people coming to online yoga classes, big growth. And people have found a way to get on because they want to do it, or people want to get in touch with their families, their kids, all the rest of it. It's often been the incentive rather than actually having a tablet that's the problem, and someone to help them do it.
Yeah. And there is the issue, you know, we discussed before, I think it was in the breakout group last time, about people with sensory disabilities. So even some pretty able people of having to drop out of things because of hearing, and the visual, but hearing is one of the big ones, because if people don't lip read, it's not that easy on some of these digital calls.
Do you know of any projects where it's worked really well with the sports stuff, apart from all the kind of keep fit stuff? Enjoy Leisure here was running classes on Zoom, but again, it was for gym bunnies.
We're just starting our low-level activity classes online, so they'll be coming on next week or so. That'll be interesting to see the uptake with that. In terms of other activities, I've not really seen many, to be honest, online. The only success I've seen online is Sporting Memories.
Yeah,
been really good, but I just think that setup of that, being able to facilitate a conversation as well, and they do a little bit of physical activity in the session. I just think that's worked really well online. Actually, the Sporting Memories session, the ones they've done really well in the lockdown, and really engaged a lot of people, and I think they're pretty good, and I've jumped into a couple of them, and just really, really well thought of and really well delivered online, and really captures it really captures people with dementia really well, and it's just, yeah, they're the kind of the few successes I've heard of, but not about actually delivering physical activity online. We've done it like small bits and bobs of one-to-one. It's worked well for some, not well for others. So so really that's really all I've heard in terms of delivery. I don't know if Parveen's heard anything from that.
Shauna Cunningham, who runs, oh sorry Parveen.
No, on you go first.
I should say Shauna Cunningham, who runs Macmillan Moves Better, a lot for people with cancer. She's running her groups now online. And that's working well. So again, we can pick her brains. One of the problems is to get people with dementia online, you have to get the carers online too, so it just doesn't work that way. So it's a look at how you, again, blending different worlds might work out quite well there as we begin to move. We had some experience working with residential settings when as a manager, so like not Beald, McCarthy and Stone, or Dirleton Court with Beald and some of the managers, where actually you've got somebody in the building who can help. And then we've had a couple of times where carers have been in touch. We've had a carer get in touch the other week to say, I'd like to get my gran online, can you help? So, and again, the day centres have contact with families. So if you've got a contact with a family member, you've got a way of, it doesn't have to be a carer. So I think one of the things we wanted to look at is what's been happening in the different communities to get through some of this, and then providing people access to the vast array of amazing stuff that there is around there. I think it's like the paths thing. It's a knotty problem that just needs a few brains, a bit of paper and some stickies.
I think though that one of the things with the
Sorry,
digital.
Parveen, I interrupted you. Sorry, Jackie. Parveen was just about to.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's just to give you kind of my experience. Obviously, for those of you that know the Aging Well programme, we're very much community based, face to face, but we've obviously had to resort to online now. So that's been quite heavy. The tail end of last year, coming into this year. So I think we've got about 10 odd activities online, and you know, in all honesty, I was quite reluctant, but the uptake, quite similar to what Sue was saying, has been really positive. People have just found ways, they've got in contact with family members. We even had a Tai Chi class start 2 weeks ago and there was 40 people on the call. So it just shows you there is a need and people want to learn. So yeah, but I'm very much similar to you, Sam. There are still people that we can't reach. There are people who are having problems. So how do we break down that barrier? How do we reach out to them? And is that sending them something to do on, you know, by post to do in their own house? It is quite a difficult one to tackle, and that's something that I think that we struggle with at our end. So if anyone has any ideas, please do share.
I did see something, it's not about the digital side of things, but about trying to get people that don't have might not have a digital access, and integrating the walking as well. And it was just kind of along walks, putting signs up with exercises, kind of to use benches or whatever, just kind of small, simple exercises to do at each stage of the walk. So that was something that we saw a while back.
Mm.
Hilary? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, my apologies. Ages ago, we did it almost as a bit of, it was very tongue in cheek, but there was a thing that was sent around about balance exercises to everybody. We all got, you know, we all got these leaflets through, and we had an area partnership meeting, I think, the night that we got a bunch of these leaflets through to distribute to people. And so at the start of the meeting, we did, you know, we all did a couple of minutes of doing these exercises, and it was kind of, it was just it wasn't a joke, but it was done in a sort of fun way. You know, this was something that we did. And I think actually that you just hit on something there, and actually combining two things is really useful. I know you're talking about people who are not digitally included, but at the moment, you know, we are who we are, and we have meetings with the people we have the meetings with. There's no reason why we can't build a minute of mindfulness or a little bit of exercise or something into the beginning and the end of each of these meetings. And like what Parveen was saying about the chats at the beginning and the end of these online sessions are the things that's a social aspect. There's no reason why we can't try and combine both social health and also business in meetings. Sorry, just while that popped into my head.
That's great. There's the carers, the peer care, Anne Bissett's carers group. She's having a physio, so she's apologised she's not here. Emma often finishes it with some mindfulness then. So if anyone would like to offer to do something at the end of this session, please feel free. Not looking at Parveen and Sam in particular. Yes, yeah. That's a great idea, Hilary. Do you remember those? And do you remember standing meetings and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, walking meetings.
Walking meeting. Oh, walking is just so good. Walking is just so good.
Mm-hmm.
Wilma, did you have your hand up before?
We going back to the digital thing. When after the last lockdown and we were able to open for browsing appointments, we noticed that a lot of people were coming in and they were bringing their tablet or bringing their iPhone or whatever in to ask how they could access e-resources. And we have seen more and more of that. We've seen more of people emailing to ask for books for click and collect. So there is an uptake on it. But going back to fun, we had a meeting. We always used to have an area meeting, a big meeting in the Brunton Hall every year, and you had a breakout session. One year I done Tai Chi, but 1 year we done line dancing, and it was such fun. And to try and maybe think about getting something like that online, just to be a bit line dancing or chair yoga. I don't know if that's out there at the moment, Parveen. I don't know if you're doing anything like that.
Yeah, we're actually starting one on the 17th of February, believe it or not. So watch this space. She's coming to Zoom.
I've been running it for years. I've got a session on Zoom every Thursday this afternoon.
Right. Sorry, Sue, I'm just taking a note of all this because it's good for us to pass all this on.
No, it's on Parveen's list. It is actually, yeah, it's on
right?
Parveen's list. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say though that one of the things that, you know, if you're doing Tai Chi or yoga online and it's just you at home, that what you miss, it's still, you know, it's like.
No, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. The first thing people say when they got on after Christmas was, oh, I missed you all. It's so good to see you. I've not seen you for ages. The sense of people are so desperate for a sense of community, we create it without meaning to. No, it's very powerful and it's more meaningful because people are so isolated.
Yeah, no, that's something that I was
very good.
thinking about, yeah.
Bye, Fiona.
We've got some really great links in the chat. So I'm going to save it, like I say, and share it. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff to look at afterwards. Does anybody else have anything that they want to talk about?
There's just been on BBC One, and it's on this week. I don't know if it's on any sort of next week. On exercise, doing exercise, and the demonstrations have been very good. I don't know if it's any use highlighting that. People ought to look at the morning BBC One programmes.
Oh,
yeah,
good morning live. Yes, it was. They've had people on from Strictly from Dancing, haven't they, Jill?
That's right. Yes, and it was very good, and simple as well.
Brilliant. Just easier.
We need a TV channel now.
Yeah. A TV channel, a radio channel. Brilliant, thank you. People are dropping off.
Let's just
I know we also mentioned very briefly in the last sort of conversation, we were wanting to look at integrating training sessions. So things like dementia awareness and intergenerational learning. And I don't know if this is anything that interests anybody on this call. If something was set up, would people be interested in attending a bit of a session?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think it would be very useful.
There's been some intergenerational stuff coming in, but it isn't local, so it would be quite handy to have something that was a bit more local.
Okay, good to know.
Rather than Scottish.
The other thing that's coming up is requests is conversations in particular places. So Port Seton and Gosford, particularly Preston Pans, wants a separate Preston Pans discussion. People in Dunbar, Jackie and Jill have suggested a Dunbar one. So there's some of those discussions about people wanting to link it very, very locally, and also finding another time for Roseanne. People like Mike Falconer can't manage this, but is really keen for the community to be engaged there. And Tracy, I don't know if she's still on the call, but linking in with the food bank and stuff like that in Forside as well. So not much coming in from Musselburgh, Wilma. Not much happening over there at all. North Berwick, obviously, Hilary and Nikki linked in. Haddington, Diane has talked to Craig, who runs the golf club. They're keen to get involved with that. And who have I forgotten? Well, is that all the areas? So most of the health and wellbeing groups linked in, but looking at having a little separate discussion, apart from Musselburgh, Wilma.
I'll definitely speak. I'm just new into here and I don't know if I'm staying in Musselburgh at the moment because Preston Pans is closed at the moment. I know a lot of Preston Pans, and I know Emma Brown really well from the PSG there, but from the Musselburgh area, I don't know the area partner. And Trisha, who works in Musselburgh Library, I'm on alternate weeks with her, and she's got the contacts. So I'm going to try and pick her brain, who I can approach, who we can get in touch with, what's going on in the area.
Yeah, well, as our meeting centre, which is a different bit of work, discussion goes, which, and I explain it all sometime, it was focused in Musselburgh because they don't have a day centre there. So I'll make sure I link you in, but they're all busy vaccinating at the moment. So
yeah,
we're just kind of working in the background on stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
Great. God, my head's done in. Oh,
I'm not surprised.
Roseanne, should we get a playlist have offered to come and do a workshop? Do you think we should get them to come in at some point? Can we get a chat about bringing that in? Because Roseanne's the playlist.
Yeah, I think we need to, because, well, I've got the stuff in the garage. Well, you know, you dropped it off. But yeah, we need to sort of like get something from them so then we can move it on.
Yeah. And whilst the focus was Trinent, there is a lot of interest in Playlist for Life across the county. So
it doesn't need to be purely Trinent, not in this current climate, you know. Nah.
Well, should we get Mary to come along from Playlist for Life sometime? And she's always comes out to help. And Claire, it'll fit really nice with the singing, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very intergenerational.
Yeah.
Family based. Actually, it's a good hook for getting people on digital things, because there's our MP3 players we've got, aren't they?
Something I'd have to go and have a look. I think so. I think that's what you mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. So it might be a digital kind of stepping stone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. We'll put that on the list and get Mary along. She's lovely. She's a great. Brilliant.
Yeah. Playlist for Life is really good. There was a input at one of the East Lothian carers AGMs once, and I've just put in the chat that on Sescott Radio, which is unfortunately just online at the moment because you have to prove yourself to get a functional license, that one of the presenters, Andy Morris, does a golden oldies record show every Saturday morning, which has, you know, a lot of old tunes, but at the moment it's only you know, digital.
Right. Good.
That was a lot, a lot that we've just gone over. I mean, I'm quite happy if everybody's said or asked everything that they want in this session. Then we could get some lunch, maybe.
Yeah.
And I've got a howling cat.
So we would next get together on the 11th of February if we stick with this, but we'll look at a different day time for folks who can't come.
Yeah.
So 11th of February.
Yeah. We'll send something out reasonably quickly probably early next week, so we get time to get this stuff together.
Yeah.
And the link.
Yeah.
We'll send out a rundown of this meeting with the chat, all the links.
And if there's stuff you want us to put out through the networks or share with each other, then please send it in and we'll do what we can to get stuff out. We need a place. You need a kind of digital place for everything. It's kind of like the notice board discussions that every area partnership has been having forever.
Yes.
And we'll see us all out, I think, that conversation.
Storms Community Council eventually got a village notice board. I think it took 10 years.
We've got them, and people don't use them, or the people do use them, but forget about them. Oh, that's Scott back. Scott sat mad. Good.
Back to say goodbye.
All right, okay. Back to say goodbye. Yeah, you back to say goodbye, Sam.
See you later.
It's nice to see you all.
We'll be in touch. Thanks
very much.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
See you later. Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye.